Very good morning to all, and good morning to all those who joined through online. Right, friends. In last class, we had a brief introduction about anthropology. Like we tried to understand basically what is anthropology and how or in what ways we can define anthropology. Likewise, so in today's class, let's try to move further and let's start the new module, that is socio-cultural anthropology. Right, in the sense, from yesterday's class, can you able to recollect what are the various branches of anthropology? Yes, socio-cultural anthropology. Yes, physical or biological anthropology, then archaeological anthropology, linguistic anthropology. So these are the four main branches of anthropology that we have. So first, let us try to just proceed with the first branch, that is socio-cultural anthropology. Okay, so okay. Let us proceed with socio-cultural anthropology. So from yesterday's class, can you able to recollect who is known as the father of anthropology? Aristotle. Aristotle is known as the father of anthropology. And who is known as the father of modern anthropology? Franz Boas. And he is also credited by other name like father of American anthropology. So Franz Boas was an American anthropologist and he is credited by that epithets, right? And what is who is the first women anthropologist from India? Iravati Karve, and she was also the first sociologist, women sociologist from India. And what about the first ethnographer or the first anthropologist of India? It is Sarat Chandra Rai, right? Can you able to recollect all those facts? So in simple manner, anthropology is nothing but study of man in time and space. So that is basically about yesterday's class which we have saw. So now let us see what is basically the socio-cultural anthropology. Socio-cultural anthropology. As we have said that there are four branches of anthropology, amongst that socio-cultural anthropology is the one of the branch of anthropology. Okay, so its objective is that it chiefly deals with the socio-cultural aspects of man. Socio-cultural aspects of man. That means man is engaged in various social activities and cultural activities, or he performs various cultural activities. So all these things would be systematically studied under this particular branch. Okay, so here we are saying like socio-cultural aspects. So what are those socio-cultural aspects means? We can just broadly divide this branch into two sub-branches. One would be the social branch and other would be the cultural branch. That means social anthropology and cultural anthropology. Cultural anthropology. Okay, the word socio-cultural can be divided into likewise. Okay, so here as we are saying there are so many socio-cultural aspects. Let's see what are the various social aspects and what are the various cultural aspects that we'll study under these topics. Okay, so if we see some of these social aspects, are like, first thing we have to understand what is society. Okay, and the society would be made up of various social groups as well as social institutions. We'll try to understand that in tomorrow's class. So here we have to study what are various social groups and various social institutions. So whatever the institutions that you see in current thing, like for example educational institutions or hospitals All of them are nothing but a kind of economic institutions. Economic in the sense they are engaged in economic activities. Social institutions means those institutions which tries to regulate the behavior of man in the society. So what are those social institutions means? They are like family, marriage, yes, kinship, that means relationship between economic organizations and political organization. Okay, these are various social aspects that we have to study. That means man as a member of society has involved in these kind of things. So apart from that, there are some cultural aspects which we'll be studying under socio-cultural anthropology. So which includes, first we have to study what is culture. Okay, and under culture there would be so many components of culture. Components of culture. Components are aspects of culture, like various things like food, dress, language, religion. All those things would be part and parcel of the culture. So we have to study that likewise. So simply to say language, religion, or religious belief, or other cultural aspects, other aspects. Okay, and if we talk about the evolution or development of this branch, that is socio-cultural anthropology, there are two key persons behind development of this branch. So if we say about the social anthropology, like the social anthropology has been systematically developed by the efforts of a famous scholar known as L.H. Morgan. His name was L.H. Morgan. L.H. Morgan was an American anthropologist, and he is famously credited for being as the father of social anthropology. Okay, so he is known as the father of social anthropology. And why we will call him as father of social anthropology means he has done some of the pioneering works related to social anthropology. Okay, by chance, can anyone recollect what was the book or what was the? Yes, so he has written a book by the name Ancient Society. Ancient Society in the year 1877. In the year 1877, he has written a book by the name Ancient Society. So this book is the pioneering book with respect to social anthropology, right? So social anthropology likewise. So that is one thing related to how this has been developed. So in this book he has introduced various basic concepts related to society, right? So by this way he has introduced a sociological approach. A sociological approach to study man. That means sociologically how we can study man. So that has been done by him in a systematic manner through this book. So that was one thing, and this approach which has been introduced by the L.H. Morgan in America has got popularized in Britain. That means American School of Anthropology is separate and Britain School of Anthropology would be separate. So as he is an American, he belongs to American School of Anthropology. Okay, so as he has been done this from America's perspective, same concepts has been studied and they have been popularized in Britain by other scholars, like we have Malinowski, Radcliffe Brown, and other scholars like we have James Fraser likewise. So these are some of the aspects related to the socio-cultural, social anthropology. And in fact, by this time, that means when L.H. Morgan has developed this concept, sociological approach to study man, all these things, the word social anthropology has not been introduced yet. Okay, and the word, for the first time, the word social anthropology has been coined and named and introduced by the scholar James Fraser. Okay, James Fraser in the year 1908. James Fraser in the year 1908, he has introduced the word social anthropology. He introduced the word social anthropology. Okay, so that was one of the credential of James Fraser. Are you getting that? So that is one thing which you have to keep in mind. So later on, slowly, with the efforts of other scholars here in the sense, there is another American scholar by the name A.L. Kroeber. A.L. Kroeber. He is an American anthropologist. Okay, A.L. Kroeber. He is an American anthropologist, and A.L. Kroeber has introduced the word socio-cultural anthropology. Socio-cultural anthropology. Socio-cultural anthropology in 1946. So this is how this social anthropology has developed. Is that clear? So this is very basic information that you should know from the social anthropology perspective. Is that clear? So then if we come to the cultural anthropology, if we come to the concept of cultural anthropology, like we'll be studying about these aspects, like where culture, what is culture, and components of culture, all these things. And here, one of the famous scholar associated with this was the E.B. Taylor. He was a British scholar. His name was Edward Burnett Taylor. Edward Burnett Taylor. And he was the first person who has been contributed to the pioneering efforts towards cultural anthropology, right? And in fact, he was the scholar who has just defined the word culture, and the word culture has been defined in an anthropological manner for the first time by E.B. Taylor in his book. Good, Primitive Culture. Primitive Culture. So this was a book written by E.B. Taylor, and this book contains the first anthropological definition of culture. Okay, let's try to see what is that definition in the later portion of our class. So for his contributions, for his pioneering contributions, he is famously regarded as the father of cultural anthropology. Father of cultural anthropology. Right? So, as he is a British anthropologist, now he is a British anthropologist, we have said that he belongs to British School of Anthropology, E.B. Taylor. So, he belongs to American School of Anthropology. So, his works have been just popularized in Britain by these scholars. And in the similar fashion, his works, E.B. Taylor's works, also been popularized in the American School of Anthropology by some scholars. So those scholars are like, we have Franz Boas, Margaret Mead. She's a lady anthropologist, and Ruth Benedict. So other scholar is there, her name is Ruth Benedict. So these are three important scholars from American School of Anthropology, and they have popularized the cultural approach, right? So his approach is known as historico-cultural approach to study man. his approach is the sociological approach to study man, and his approach is famously known as the historico-particular, historico-cultural approach. So to study man, right? So this is how this branch of anthropology has been evolved from ancient times, and now it's been well versed, and it's we are studying it in a systematic manner. So this is how this has been developed, right? So we have tried to understand everything about like how this sociocultural anthropology as a branch has been evolved. Okay, is this clear with all these facts? Okay, so try to remember, and these are very, very important for you to understand, okay, and to remember. So then with this introduction, let's move on and let's begin our first lecture as a part of sociocultural anthropology, right? So first, we have to understand both the aspects, like what is society and what is culture. Okay, what is society and what is culture. So before we understand what is society, let us try to understand what is culture. Culture, in the sense, it is very, very important to understand the culture, and then let's progress to society, right? So in general sense, like by your knowledge, can you say what might be a society? What might be a society? Yes, group of people living together. Can we say that as a, can we say from human society perspective, can we say like that? So society refers to group of people living at one place. That could be the simplest definition of society that we can say. And as we know that man is a social animal, and as we know that man is 1 minute. Okay, right. So as we know that man is a social animal and man lives in the society, both the concepts of culture and society are a kind of they play a central field in this socio-cultural anthropology. And if you look at the term culture in very common sense, culture in very simple sense refers to the culture in simple sense refers to the total way of life of a people in the society. That means in the society, we have said that society is made up of group of people. So for that group of people, there would be a particular way of life, right? So in simple manner to say lifestyle of the people of the society. So the total way of life of people of a particular society is nothing but culture. Okay, here we are calling the word lifestyle. For an individual, we will have a lifestyle. In the sense, an individual, the way he dresses, the way he speaks, the way he entertains himself, or the way he just talks. So everything would be part and parcel of his lifestyle. So from that perspective, culture consists of various aspects, like for example, language is a cultural aspect. That means it would be part and parcel of his lifestyle. That means one may communicate in English, one may communicate in Hindi, other may communicate in Marathi, other may communicate in Gujarati or Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, right? So language is a part and parcel of his lifestyle, okay? And then one may systematically follow a particular religion. Like every person would be born into a particular religion, and he will have a particular religious beliefs, right? From that perspective, religion also would be part and parcel of his lifestyle. Okay, then if we see other aspects like the way he dresses or the way he just eats, takes food, okay, so all of them are in simple manner, nothing but various aspects of lifestyle. In the sense, in other ways we can say man also will have a specific customs as a member of society. Man will also have specific traditions, okay, so he will follow so many arts. The arts can be like, for example, dance, it can be like music, it can be like yes, paint or painting. Are you getting that? So all of these are part and parcel of the culture. Okay, that would be a core concept which subsumes under the lifestyle of an individual. Okay, so these things we have to study in a systematic manner. Okay, so in simple manner, remember, this is culture is nothing but lifestyle. In very simple manner, general parlance, in a layman terms, we can say likewise. Okay, so in a systematic way, we can say that it is the total way of living of the people of a society. Likewise, so that is the basic thing about the culture. Okay, and if you look at the word culture has been derived from a German word. If you look at the word culture is believed to be derived from a German word, that is culture. Okay, and the meaning of the word culture, it refers to progress, or it refers to progress. Okay, in other words, the word culture is also been believed to be developed by a Latin word, that is colere. Okay, and the meaning of the word colere refers to cherish. Okay, in simple manner, it refers to cherish. Likewise, so from these root words, the term culture has been systematically developed. Okay, so that is very basic introduction about what is culture and how etymologically the word culture has been developed. Okay, so that's with respect to the basic introduction for this particular concept. So then let us try to understand this in a systematic way, in the sense like how, in what ways we can define culture likewise. So if you see, like this is what like, in other words, like we can also see some of the traces, like the word culture also has been developed from the word cultura, which means cultivation or tending. This is also in different way, etymological perspective, we can say how it has been developed. Okay, so then we have said that this thing, in the sense, the term culture in anthropology refers to the total way of life of the people in a society. Okay, this thing you have to remember forever. You should not forget this line, the total way of life of people of a society. Okay, so that is very, very important. So in simple sense, we can say this as lifestyle of the people, right? So then scholars have tried to define culture in various ways, and we have to understand those definitions given by various scholars. So can someone call Suchanesi? Right. So for the first time, who is regarded as the father of cultural anthropology? E.B. Taylor. So he has immensely contributed to the pioneering works of cultural anthropology. So if we are talking about the culture, the word culture, we have to remember the contributions of culture for E.B. Taylor for sure. So first definition, first systematic and anthropological definition of culture has been given by E.B. Taylor. So what, according to E.B. Taylor, is the culture? Means he has defined culture in a complex manner. In a complex manner means till now we have saw a simplest definition that it is the total way of life of people. So what does the total mean of total way of life of people means? Lifestyle. It includes so many things, but what is included in that? That was not defined clearly. So that there was an attempt made by E.B. Taylor to put an end to such kind of dilemmas. Here he has defined that, he has stated that culture, that complex whole which includes the knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, law, customs, and any other capabilities that has been acquired by man as a member of society. As a member of society. That means what E.B. Taylor is trying to say is that, like we are saying that man lives in the society, and being a member of the society, like man tries to acquire so many capabilities in the sense, being a member of the society, man acquires his language, ability to communicate with others, and man acquires some of the beliefs, some of the customs, some of the traditions, and he gets acquainted with some of the arts, and as a member of the society, he attains some basic knowledge about the society, about the surroundings, about the environment, about everything. Are you getting that? So that's what the E.B. Taylor is saying. He says that that complex whole, which includes the knowledge, beliefs. Can you able to recollect? Beliefs means you can have like all religious beliefs or such kind of things. General beliefs, religious beliefs or some things. Knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals. So being a member of society, man acquires a lot of morals and ethics. Like you may think from the religious ethics or religious morals, or like individual morals, values, virtues, he imbibes. So knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, customs, traditions, and any other capability that he acquires as a member of the society. So that would be part and parcel of culture. Okay, so this is one of the complex definition, and it makes the term culture itself as complex. Can we say culture is a complex entity because it includes all such kind of things. We cannot just define culture in single term like the total way of life. In such a simple words we cannot define. So we have to define in a detailed manner, means this is how we can define. So E.B. Taylor has said that culture is a complex entity. That's what he is trying to say. Can you able to interpret? Can you able to follow that? So this is how we can interpret that definition. Okay, so then the next definition has been given by Bronislaw Malinowski. Okay, next definition has been given by Malinowski. He was also one of the pioneers in anthropology, and he was a Polish anthropologist, but he is from British School of Anthropology. That means by nature he belongs to Poland, Polish. That's why we will call him as Polish anthropologist. But he belongs to Britain School of Anthropology. So Malinowski, he is well known for the functional school of anthropology. There would be a school called functionalism. We'll study them slowly. So functionalism means which talks about the significance of functions. In simple manner I am telling, and not in a systematic manner. So he tried to define culture from the functional perspective, functional approach. Okay, so from functional approach, what Malinowski is trying to say is that the culture is nothing but the handiwork of man and medium through which he achieves his ends. Try to just look at this definition. He is saying that it is the handiwork of man and it is a medium. That means culture is a medium through which he achieves his ends. What does this mean? How can we interpret this one? Means to achieve ends. So what does this mean? Can you just explain with any example? Now you know some cultural aspects. You know some cultural aspects, like language is one cultural aspect, art is one cultural aspect, belief is one cultural aspect, religion is one cultural aspect. So all of them are nothing but cultural aspects. And he is trying to say that it is a handiwork of man. That means man has created all those things for his convenience. And now the second part of this thing says that culture is the medium through which he achieves his ends. How do you say this? Good. So one thing like she's trying to bring is that, so here, for example, let us take an example of one aspect, that is religion. Religion is a cultural aspect. So why we have created this religion as a cultural aspect means, in order to attain the spiritual aspects of man, spiritual needs, to fulfill the spiritual needs of man. Okay, so that is one thing. So we can say likewise. So then think of others. Yes, yes. In society, we have developed so many laws and morals. So what is the basic work of laws and morals? To maintain law and order and social order. In simple sense, to say social order. So laws and morals, they are also part and parcel of culture. Okay, so culture, this is the part of culture, and we have developed these laws and morals in order to just achieve the end, that is for establishing social order in the society. Establishing social order in the society. Are you able to understand that? In order to fulfill this end of social order, we have developed this aspect of culture. And man wants to get entertained himself. And in order to get entertained by himself, man has developed some of the entertainment modalities, like, yes, arts. Okay, this arts will include so many things, like it can be painting, as we have saw, it can be paint, it can be dance, it can be music, or there are so many theater forms, folk or likewise. So this is also one thing. So now can you able to understand his definition? He's saying that culture is a medium through which he is attaining his ends, he is achieving his ends, right? That means, can we say that culture gratifies the needs of the man? Culture helps in achieving or gratifying the needs of man. Okay, so from E.B. Taylor's definition, can we say that culture is a complex entity? That means we cannot define it in a simple manner. So remember these points, because these would be the characteristics of culture. Are you getting that? So everything is interconnected. If you achieve one thing, then only you can achieve the other part of the class, likewise. Okay, so that is one thing. So what, according to the Malinowski, so Malinowski is which scholar? He is a Polish scholar, Poland, Polish scholar, and he belongs to Functional School of Anthropology. Just remember this, Functional School of Anthropology. Okay, and next thing is that he is a British anthropologist. He is a British anthropologist. Wherever you get the names of scholars, just take 1 minute and just Google about him and try to just learn some basic information about that particular scholar, so that it makes your work easy. And whenever you are just making your notes, try to make a column, like in a bigger column, in a bigger margin, you just mention like this: Malinowski, simply Polish scholar, or simply Functional School, British anthropologist, and likewise, so that you can just remember or simply definition of culture, so that you can remember his contributions and it would be easy for you while writing the exam. So that's how you can just proceed. So this is what Malinowski's contribution. So that is one definition given by Malinowski. Now the next definition has been given by an American anthropologist. Okay, an American anthropologist. First, we have discussed about a British anthropologist, then a Polish scholar. Now we are moving towards an American anthropologist. His name is Ralph Linton. Ralph Linton. So Ralph Linton defines culture in this fashion. He says that culture is the sum total of knowledge. Okay, culture is the sum total of knowledge, attitude, and the learned behavioral pattern. It's a learned behavioral pattern that all shared and transmitted by the members of a particular society. Okay, that all shared and transmitted by the members of a particular society. So what Ralph Linton is trying to say is that as a member of society, like again you can see there can be any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. That means simply to say man as a member of society attains a lot of things. Amongst that, there can be some of the things like the knowledge. The knowledge includes various other things like all of these things are part and parcel of knowledge. So what Ralph Linton is trying to do is that he is trying to simplify the definition of culture, and he has summarized everything in this word only, knowledge. Okay, and apart from that, he just brought in another new word called attitude. Okay, attitude of a person towards anything. For example, attitude of a person towards the dressing style, attitude of a person towards the food habits, or attitude of a person towards the language. So that is also part and parcel of culture. Okay, so he is saying that the sum total of the knowledge, attitude, and the learned behavioral pattern. Learned behavior. He is saying that culture constitutes learned behavioral patterns. Learned behavioral patterns means from the child, through the process of socialization, he learns so many aspects and he imbibes those aspects into his behavior, and thus his behavior would be modulated as he grows up, isn't it? So whatever the things, whatever the like dressing patterns, or whatever the food habits, or whatever, for example, as we are talking here about the behavior in a particular family, if the parents teaches the children how to respect the women and how to respect the girls, same behavior he imbibes, isn't it? So he continues to have that one. If the parents didn't touch that aspect, obviously he will learn that in a different manner. Likewise, so he learns that and he carries that further. So likewise, behavior would be executed in such a fashion. So this would be learned through the process of socialization. Are you clear? Are you able to follow that? So he is saying that it's a type of learned behavioral patterns that all are shared and transmitted by the members of a particular society. Now, for example, if I ask you one question, which language do you speak? What's your mother tongue? Marathi. So her mother tongue is Marathi. And how did you get to learn about Marathi? From parents as society. Okay, good. So now, actually when she born, she doesn't know what Marathi is, right? Actually when she born, she doesn't know what English was or what Hindi was. But now, after taking birth then she slowly started learning the language of Marathi. Okay, did you learn Hindi first or Marathi first? Marathi first. Why this has been done? Because that was the culture that has been practiced. That was the language that has been spoken in her home. Likewise, in the similar fashion, same would be the case with you all also. So that means culture has been learned. Culture is learned. And after learning that particular language, now she will transmit the same thing to her children, and her children's will transmit same thing and share it to their children's. That means that thing, culture, would be shared and transmitted from generation to generations, and as well as in between different members of a particular society. And now here we are saying that how it would be transmitted between members of society. As she was born into in Maharashtra, so she learned Marathi as a mother tongue. Now she could able to speak English also, and now she could able to speak Hindi also. Now how this happened means culture is shared between members of society. That means other person's culture was speaking in Hindi, speaking in English. Now gradually she learned that because culture is shared and culture is transferred, culture is transmitted between the members of society also. Right? Are you able to follow that? So that is one thing. So through this definition, you can also focus on these things, that culture is a learned behavioral pattern. Learned behavioral pattern. That means you will learn things in a systematic fashion. So this is one another characteristic of culture. And other thing is that culture is shared, transmitted, culture is inculcated, and culture is learned likewise. So this is one thing which you have to keep in mind. Okay, so this was one of the definition given by Ralph Linton. And can you able to recollect Ralph Linton belongs to which school? Ralph Linton? No, in the sense like which school means like American School of Anthropology. Okay, he belongs to American School of Anthropology. So remember that. So this is one thing which you have to keep in mind. So then other definitions have also been there. So there is other scholar called Herskovits. So Herskovits defines culture as a man-made part of the environment. Is there any doubt with reference to this definition given by Herskovits? He is saying that culture is a man-made part of the environment. How can you just interpret this definition? Can anyone put an attempt or give an attempt for this? Obviously, in the sense, think the primitive man. Like, was he enclosed, or was he aware, or was he invented the dress which we are wearing now? Or think of language. Primitive man was not well versed with the concepts like language, or the concepts like religion, or the concepts like the dress, arts. All of these things, they have not been divinely created. They are not created by the God himself. It is said that like the divine theory says that man has been created by the God. So can we say that it's a divine theory? So if we are talking about the culture, culture is not a divinely created concept. Rather, culture is created by man himself in order to just satisfy his needs, or in order to just achieve his ends likewise. Okay, in order to just achieve the entertainment, he has created arts. In order to achieve or establish social order in the society, he has created the laws and morals likewise. And wherever, whenever there was need, then he has created the cultural aspects. So he wanted to communicate with others. So as there was need, to fulfill that need or to achieve that need, he has just created language. And in order to just establish or to make people into one group and to attain the spiritual needs, he has created the institution of religion. Are you able to follow that? And these are some things, some examples that we can quote as that culture is a man-made part of the environment. It does not exist naturally. It's not a divinely created entity. Can you able to follow that? So that's with reference to the definition given by Herskovits. So that is one thing. Then finally, like there was an Indian scholar called L.P. Vidyarthi. Okay, L.P. Vidyarthi, he is a famous Indian anthropologist, and he also tried to define culture and just have a look at his way. He is saying that culture is the interaction between man and environment. That means, can you see the relevance of these two definitions? So both are trying to say that culture is not a divinely created aspect, rather culture has been created by man himself. So that is one way of defining what is culture, right? So irrespective of various ways of defining culture, irrespective of having such a number of differences between opinions regarding the definition of culture, in one way how we can just define culture means, it is in simple way, it is culture is nothing but the way of life, whereas the morality is a part of culture. Morality is a part of culture. That means moral values are not same across, and moral values are not same for all the people across the world. So it will vary from a person to person. Morals, that means nothing but the values and virtues that he keeps himself. So they will vary. So how these will vary means, it would depend upon the culture in which he upbrings. He is getting upbringed likewise. So remember that culture is the way of life. So that would be the concluding lines for the definition of culture. Is that clear? So just mention 2-3 lines at least, or some things, so that you can further retain this knowledge. Okay, so there you keep the heading culture, and there you mention that in general, in general, in general, the term culture refers to the total way of life, the total way of life of people, the way of life of people living in a society, the total way of life of people living in a society. Okay, now can you able to understand the definition? Then in next point you mentioned that according to E.B. Taylor, according to E.B. Taylor, next point, according to E.B. Taylor, according to E.B. Taylor, culture is, start writing in inverted commas, start writing in inverted commas, culture is that complex whole, that complex whole, WHOLE, that complex whole, that complex whole which includes the knowledge, which includes the knowledge, beliefs, knowledge, try to just understand while writing, the knowledge, beliefs, art, morals, laws, customs, and any other capabilities, and any other capabilities, and habits, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man, as a member of society, Okay, so this definition you will have to remember whenever things comes to define culture. You have to use this definition at any cost. Okay, that's why try to just practice something, like if you understand then it would be easy, but still the terminology is very important, and you have to use the same terminology, and in verbatim you have to mention. Okay, so that means you have to learn this definition by heart, right? So that is one thing which you have to keep in mind. So what am I trying to say is that if I want to just say the preamble of Indian Constitution. So how can you say the preamble of Indian Constitution? We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So why are you not saying like democratic republic, sovereign, socialist, likewise? But that means like it has been clearly mentioned in such a fashion, right? So we have to learn these things also in some such fashion. So this is established things we have to learn likewise. So that's how this definition is very, very important. Rest all definitions, if it has been exclusively asked, like define culture and discuss something, other part of the question. If there is such thing like define culture, then you can mention about other definitions given by other scholars. Okay, and no need to learn every definition in the verbatim form. At least one definition you have to learn in verbatim form. That means as it is, you have to learn. So that is one thing. So that's with reference to the definition of culture. So after understanding the definition, here in this diagram also you can see culture includes what? Like language, customs, rituals, behavior, or faith or religion, food habits, art, drama, music, attitudes, or beliefs. So this summarizes what is the culture or cultural components are, likewise. So that is with respect to the definition of culture. Then next thing is that characteristics of culture. What are the characteristics of culture? So if you want to explain what is culture or what are the various features of culture, these are the various features of culture. Now look at the first characteristic, that is culture is learned and inculcated. Do you agree with this? Culture is learned and inculcated. That means think of morals, think of laws. They have been inculcated. In ethics also you will study the same. And think of language. It is learned by a child. Okay. And think of the other aspects of culture. It can be like music, it can be like beliefs, it can be like customs, traditions. He learns them as a member of society, right? So that is one thing. So now is it clear with this characteristic? Culture is learned and inculcated. That is one thing. Then culture is shared and transmitted between the members of society and also from generation to generation. That means horizontally as well as vertically. Can you able to understand that? So culture would be learned, language would be learned, and language can be shared among the members of society as well as from one generation to another generation, likewise. Okay, then next characteristic is culture is gratifying and culture satisfies the needs of human. Is that clear? So we have discussed that also. So that is also one of the characteristic. Then culture is a social and group phenomena. What is this? Culture is a social phenomena or a group phenomena. How can we just interpret this characteristic? It is? Yes. In the sense, if we say as a person, we cannot call it as a culture because culture is an attribute of genus Homo. That means humans belongs to the genus Homo, Homo sapiens we will call, the scientific name, Homo sapiens sapiens. That means here this species is sapiens and the genus was Homo, scientifically if we say. So the culture is an attribute of genus Homo, and for an individual there won't be anything called culture. Why means, if think or try to just visualize, like if there was one single man, and for that single man, was there any need for him to communicate with others? No need, in the sense, if he was an individual, that means if he lived alone, then there was no need to develop language, no need to develop culture, no need to develop religion, no need to develop a different clothing pattern, all of those things. As he is living as a member of society, he has to just satisfy various needs. So for that, he has just developed so many other aspects. So from that perspective, there is no sense of having culture to an individual. When we are talking about the culture, it is a central concept of the society. Okay, culture and society are intricately interlinked with each other. For sustenance of a society, culture is an important prerequisite. That means if a society has to progress or sustain itself, it needs to have a particular culture. And for continuation of the culture, society is required. Are you able to follow that? That means both of them are intricately interlinked, without which other aspect will not be there. Society cannot exist without culture, and culture will not sustain without a society. When society itself it's not there, obviously where can we find culture? Are you getting that? So that is one thing. So from that point of view, it is a social and group phenomena. Okay, language has been developed by a group of people. Religion belongs to a group of people, or like certain clothing pattern would be for a particular group of people and not for an individual. For example, lawyers, they are also a social group. They will wear different clothing pattern. Doctors, they will wear an apron and different clothing pattern. And police, they are also a group. They are also a group in the society, so they will have a particular clothing pattern. That means it is for a group. We will just do that. So from that point of view, culture is a social and group phenomena. Okay, and here we are saying next statement that culture is unique to humans and universal in nature. Now, how can we interpret this? Culture is unique to humans. Yes, take up. See, whenever we are trying to define or anything, any aspect of thing, think from its aspects. There are so many aspects. Take language and compare it, the presence of language in any other animals. Man is an animal, and we are comparing that, we are saying that culture is unique to humans. Take various cultural aspects and look whether these cultural aspects are present or absent in other animals. That clarifies the thing. That means if we are talking about the other aspects, so we have said that there would be so many things. For example, take up language. Does dogs have a language? Can you decode the language? Does any others, like for example, birds, do they have any particular language? Simply they can make noises, but we can't say that it is the particular language. But the language which is being used by humans, it has some value, it has some meaning, it has some sense to just make. In the sense, if we are using the word, any word, for example, culture, it has some meaning. That means, in such a manner, culture is unique to humans in one way we can say. Religion, there is no group formation of groups in other animals, in the sense on a particular basis called religion. There is no such kind of thing. Or can you see any clothing pattern or clothes for any other animals? No, they'll be normal as like. So from that pattern, from that point of view, we can say that culture is unique to human beings. And in fact, culture is unique to genus Homo. Genus Homo. Okay, as man is called Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens sapiens. Likewise. So this is one thing. But recently, some of the recent studies says that the culture can also be seen in some of the animals like orangutan likewise. Orangutan, so they are all nothing but the nearest ancestors to humans. And recently in last year's prelims also there was a question which has been asked, which was talking that which of the following animals will use the stick as a tool to scrape the insects from the wood likewise. So some of those animals like orangutan or such animals, they have some behavioral tendencies which has been learned by them from their parents, and the same behavior is being reflected in the children also. That means the offsprings also. Like some orangutans will wear the earrings. Do you know what's the ornament of orangutan? It's a grass stick. Like you can see in internet, like you will the pics will be available. Like orangutan wears one orangutan was wearing a grass stick in his ear, and it keeps like that, and it just allows it to just likewise. That means that was the ornament that orangutan has used. So there are some pictures also. Likewise, they also developing a type of culture, but it's not an advanced form of culture. Okay, but man has an advanced form of culture, whereas other animals which are yet to develop the culture, they are in primitive form. So we can say, though culture is present in other animals like orangutan, but it is a primitive form of culture. It is not developed properly in a systematic manner. Okay, whereas man's culture, the culture of man is advanced. The culture of man is a unique aspect from that perspective. Okay, so just refer such kind of thing. Just mention one question, that is culture unique to human beings? Is culture unique to human beings? Keep a question mark and mention explain. Okay, so try to just search on this particular concept. Is culture unique? That means try to refer other animals who has the culture. Okay, and try to just bring in, and you have to substantiate these with your points, arguments. Your argument should not be simple, in the sense culture is also extends to other animals, and simple things you should not say. You have to pick a report, you have to pick a study, and then you have to just back up or substantiate your arguments likewise. Okay, so try to do that, and that is with reference to one another characteristic, that is the culture is unique to humans and it is universal in nature. Wherever across the world, if you see, language exists for humans. In one or other language they will talk. Either it can be English, either it can be Mandarin for Chinese, either it can be Japanese for Japan people, or it can be like English in Western world, or like it can be like Latin in Latin American countries. Are you getting that? So language, that means culture is universal. Religion, if you see humans, at least they will belong to any particular religion. That means they belongs to any particular religious beliefs. They will have some particular customs. They will have some particular traditions, practices likewise, right? So from that point of view, culture is also universal in nature. Is that clear? Universal means it exists everywhere across the world likewise. Then culture is a dynamic and adaptive concept. Culture is a dynamic and adaptive. How can we just say this? Culture is dynamic and adaptive. Culture changes from time to time. What does it mean? Like changes from time to time, in the sense, take any small thing, anything, take up the aspect of clothing. Does primitive man used to wear any clothes? No. Slowly he just tried to drape himself by plant leaves, all such kind of things. That was his dress. Then man slowly started developing, slowly he has started developing the cloths. There Even if we take the Indians, our traditional way of dressing was to wear saris, kurtas, pajamas, shirt likewise, shirt and dhoti likewise. But now we could able to see, due to advancements in technology and due to various aspects like globalization, urbanization, modernization, industrialization. So with all these things, now we could able to wear the vivid clothing pattern. That means jeans, t-shirt, or it can be like dresses, all those things. So that means, can we say that culture is changing? That means we have to take any aspect and we have to just study likewise. Think of religion. Religion was not the same since its inception. At one point of time, man used to believe in souls. At one point of time, man used to believe in environment. Or at one point of time, man used to revere or keep some things as sacred. For example, cows. Todas will feel buffaloes as the sacred entities. That means that would be the totem. We'll come to know. So likewise, slowly people have started acquiring the advanced religious beliefs. Like now people have been adapted, either it can be Hinduism or Islam or like Christianity or likewise. So this is one thing. So from that pattern, from that point of view, we can say culture is dynamic and adaptive. It can be changed from, yes. No, we have to use it, but we have to say that unique to humans, but also exists in other animals. But the culture which is prevailing in humans is unique in such a way that it is advancedly developed to such an extent that no animal has reached to this level. And here we are not saying that culture is restricted to only humans, but we are saying that culture is unique to humans, means like we have about vivid languages. Same is not available with those animals. So all other cultural aspects are not developed in such a way that has been developed by the Homo sapiens, humans. Yes. So here what we have to keep in mind is that what's the central concept of anthropology means. Anthropology is the systematic and holistic and scientific study of man. So whatever the scholars which we are studying, they will study the subject from the point of man's perspective. So that's why we are defining man from we are defining all aspects from the man's perspective. Whatever the knowledge which we are able to look from his perspective, we are seeing. So this approach of viewing things from the concept of man, that means keeping the man at center, and we are just trying to judge other things, or we are trying to just interfere, or we are trying to interpret all other aspects from man's perspective. That means man is the center and we are interpreting all other aspects. It can be culture, it can be society, it can be economic organization, political organization, everything from the man's perspective. And such an approach of studying anything is known as anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism. Anthropos means man. Centrism means centric, keeping man at the center and trying to judge all other aspects. So in anthropology, our approach would be this one, anthropocentrism. Is that clear? So that's why all the definitions are from our perspective. So that would be one thing. Okay, so you have to keep this thing also in mind. So anthropocentrism. So that is with reference to one of the characteristic of the culture. Okay, And we are not saying that culture is unique to human beings only. You should not use that word. But in writing, you can say, but even if you use that statement in your answer writing, then examiner may also question you. Then what about this likewise? So you can use it is unique to humans, but although it exists in other animals, still it is unique to humans. Okay, you can mention likewise, and you can just explain likewise. So then next thing is culture is structured and culture is complex. So okay, from E.B. Taylor's definition, can you able to recollect that culture is complex? Is that complex whole which includes all those things? And culture is structured. Culture is structured means, if we look from the basic concepts of culture, there would be a particular cultural patterns, and these cultural patterns would be made up of various cultural traits. Cultural trait means it can be any object. For example, if I want to give an example of cultural trait of Indus Valley civilization, we can say image of bronze, image of Mother Goddess. Yes, or like anything like amulets was a cultural trait of Indus Valley civilization. Yes, citadel was a cultural trait. It can be an object, it can be an idea, it can be a belief, it can be any custom. That can be a cultural trait. So when these cultural traits are formed in a systematic pattern, they will form a definite cultural pattern. Okay, so in such a model, like culture is structured in a systematic manner. But regarding this structure of culture, we will study in the school theories of anthropology. Thoughts and theories of anthropology, we will study about that in a systematic manner. But here, just remember, there would be some things called cultural traits and cultural patterns, and these cultural patterns and cultural traits, they will make the structure of culture. Is that clear? So that is one thing, but we have to study this structure of culture in a systematic manner. We'll study that in as a part of the schools of anthropology, thoughts and theories likewise. So that is one thing. So then next thing is that culture is non-genetic. Do you agree to this fact? Culture is non-genetic. In the sense, no cultural pattern or no cultural aspect would be inherited from parents to children genetically, but it would be transmitted through the process of socialization and not by birth. Are you getting that? So by birth, in the sense, for example, the blood group, you will get it genetically, or such kind of other things like skin color or the height or the weight, all of such things will have the genetic connotations, whereas things like language, religion, family, kinship, marriage, they won't get you through genetically. So it is non-genetic and non-inherited. Okay, non-inherited genetically, likewise, not inherited genetically. So that is one thing. Then other thing is that culture is diffused to other places through cultural contact. Culture is diffused to other parts of the world or other parts of the world, in the sense, as we had a basic example of language. Now, can we able to speak English as a language? But if you think the ancient Indian or medieval Indian perspective, was man aware of English? No. But still, now we could able to speak it, and we can use it. We are using it as a lingua franca, the bridge language. Why? Means this cultural aspect has been developed somewhere, and due to cultural contact with the advent of Europeans to India, English as a language has come in contact to Indians, and thus slowly English has started spreading into India, and now we are using English likewise. It can be for any other things, like it can be for religion, like can we think the presence of Islam or Christianity in India? No, but they have been introduced into India due to cultural contact, due to cultural contacts. So that's how we can say that culture will be diffused to other places, or it will be spread to other places through cultural contact. Is it clear? So that is one characteristic. Now, culture is historically created, designed for living. Historically created, designed for living. That means we are saying that it is the lifestyle of an individual. Are you getting that? So from that point of view, it is a historically created, design for living. That means in a certain fashion we have to live likewise. Okay, so that is one thing. So then if you want to say the last characteristic, culture has unity as well as diversity. Culture has unity and is known for unity and diversity. If you look from India's perspective, India is known for unity in diversity. Though there are diverse cultural practices, as India is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-linguistic and multicultural, known for multicultural patterns, still we have a common unity. That means we are united by the feeling of Indians. In the similar way, if we talk from the society perspective also, in a particular society, we may have vivid cultural practices. In a particular society, let us say the Delhi residents, or Delhi, for example, any resident society of Delhi. So there might be people belonging to Hinduism, there might be people belonging to Muslim community or Christianity or Parsis, Zoroastrians likewise. But still, when it comes to the matter of any issue related to that particular resident society, they all will raise the slogan like, it's we, it's our society. And they won't allow others to enter into their society. Likewise, we can say that despite of having diversity in the cultural traits or cultural aspects, there would be unity among the members, right? So Indian society, American society, likewise, we can give an examples for in general parlance for society likewise. So that's with reference to various aspects or characteristics or features of culture. Is that clear with the features of culture? So that is with reference to culture. Then we have various functions of culture. Functions of culture. That means what would be the ultimate aim of culture? Ultimate aim is that, or ultimate function or ultimate objective is that, one thing is that culture makes a man social and moral being. Culture makes a man social and moral being. As we have said that culture and society are intricately interlinked. In order to sustain a culture, we need society. In order to exist a society, culture is an important prerequisite, we have said. And we also know that man has animal origins. And being an animal, man cannot live alone. Man here in the sense, human being. In anthropology, we will use the term man in the sense, it's for human being. Man cannot live alone. So as man cannot live alone, he lives in groups. When he is living in groups, we will say that man as a social animal. Likewise. Okay. So that aspect which makes the man unique from other animals is the concept of culture. Culture is that part of culture is such an aspect which differentiates or which makes the humans unique among all other animals, right? So from that point of view, culture makes a man social being, and in the culture we will learn so many morals, values, or knowledge, or such things, behaviors likewise. So culture also makes man a moral being. Okay, so that is one thing. Then next function of culture is that culture serves as a potential guide for human being. potential guide for human being. That means the way we have to dress has been taught by the cultural practices. And all of you will go for marriage. And while you are going for marriage, there is a certain practice or there is a certain established procedure for getting married, in the sense based on religious beliefs or based on the advanced things, like it can be either it can be arranged marriage. If you are going for an arranged marriage or general marriage according to Hindu rituals, there would be certain established procedures, isn't it? Or if you're just going for a registered marriage, there would be an established pattern of procedure for that. What am I trying to say is that culture serves as a potential guide for human being. It guides you that you just proceed in this way and do not go in a haphazard manner. Are you getting? For example, if you are a Sikh, then it says you wear kirpan, you wear all such kind of things, like whatever 5Ks are there in Sikhs for Sikhs. So that would be one thing. Likewise, so culture is a potential guide for human being. Are you getting that? So that is one thing. Then next function is that culture provides a framework for solving human problems. For solving human problems, we will have a lot of problems, and culture is one thing which helps in solving such kind of problems. Such kind of problems in the sense we may have so many issues, dilemmas, or anything which may come across. Culture shows some sort of answer for such things. Okay, generic statement and no particular explanation required for that. Simply, it also tries to solve the human problems. Likewise, then culture acts as a basis of human life and provides design for living. All are one and the same, but simply in a different language. It creates the design for life, design for living. Then culture keeps social relations intact. Social relations would be maintained intact through culture. That means people might be bonded together on the basis of religion. People might be bonded together on the basis of language. People might be bonded together on the basis of their professions. For example, dancers, they will have a separate identity, like dancing community. Music, musicians, they will have separate identity. That means culture keeps the social relations intact. Is that clear? So that is one thing. Then culture creates and satisfies human needs. Fulfilling human needs, it's another function, as we have understood that thing. So these are all nothing but the important functions of culture. Is that clear with functions? So that is one thing. So online students, are you able to follow? Okay. So then next thing what we have to see is that by this time we have understood what is culture is all about. Culture is all about. That means, can we say that culture is, in simple way, culture is nothing but what we are? Can we say that culture denotes what we are? In the sense, what we are, the way we dress, the way we speak, the food habits of ours, the religion, the language, or the habits, the customs, the traditions that we all exhibit, it's part and parcel of culture. So in simple words, can we say that culture is what we are? Can we say that? So in very normal or layman terms, we can say like that, culture is what we are. Whereas there is other concept called a civilization. What is civilization means, as culture says what we are, as the culture says what we are, in the similar fashion, culture denotes what we are. Civilization, there is other term called civilization. So what is civilization means? Civilization refers to, in layman terms, it is what we have. What we have. In this sense, whatever the possessions, materialistic possessions which we have, that denotes the civilization. Okay, in simple terms, to in very general terms, to say what is civilization, how can we say a person as civilized? Take the primitive man. Primitive man, there was no language for him, no language for him, but still he used to communicate with others through signs and some other, through symbols or some other sounds. He used to communicate. So can we say that that is also a kind of culture? Communicating through symbols, sounds, is that also part of culture? Yes, that means culture was also there with reference to primitive man. Okay, and now look at the modern man. Modern man. Now there is well established language, well developed language, and languages are developed properly. But this is advanced form of language. At present, whatever we have is advanced form. Okay, so that is one thing. Keep this thing in mind. Now, just look at other example. We all have to commute from one place to another place, either by bus, either through cycle, or either through motorbike, or either through car, or through metro, or flight likewise. So here, a person, let us say, a person may have cycle or bicycle. Okay, and a person may have car, and there might be a chance that a person might also own a helicopter for movement, chartered flights likewise. That means a person might use either foot or cycle or car or helicopter. That means he may own all these things. So a person who has helicopter is considered as more civilized than a person having car, and a person having car is considered as more civilized than a person having bicycle, and a person who walks by foot, a person who has cycle, is considered as more civilized than a person who walks or who goes by barefoot. That means here what we are talking is, we are talking from the materialistic point of view. Are you getting that? That means it's discussing, or it's saying that what we have. If you have helicopter, then you are considered as more civilized. If you have car, you can be considered as more civilized than a person having either bicycle or nothing likewise. So we are saying that civilization denotes the concept of what we have. A person may live in hut, and a person may live in duplex house. Now, who is civilized? A person who lives in duplex house, because he has something in an advanced form. Yes. See, that's different concept. Here we are just trying to understand the civilization. Yes, that can be like when we judge one thing from other thing, that would be different. But here, to understand in a simpler fashion, we are learning likewise. Civilization is that's how. Civilization is that's how. In the sense, we are just checking when you understand, when we just go for other parts, like you can understand. Your point is also valid, but still we have to understand likewise. Okay, so we are neither criticizing that he is primitive. We are saying that he is more civilized. Likewise, obviously comparative aspects will come. Okay, so likewise, a person who has a duplex house can be considered as more civilized when compared to a person who lives in hut. Likewise, so that is one thing. So here we are looking things in advanced forms. in advanced forms. Can you able to see? Can you able to see this advanced forms? So how in simple manner we can define a civilization means civilization is an advanced form of the culture. Civilization is an advanced form of the culture. Are you getting that? So that's how we can basically define the civilization. So simply look at this basic definition of civilization. Civilization is generally considered as the progressed or advanced part of the culture. Culture would be there. In culture, we will have advanced or progressive aspects of the culture. So when we attain that progressed forms in a culture, that would be known as civilization. So you might have heard the word Indus Valley civilization. Why we are calling it as one of the first or earliest forms of civilization means before to that also culture was there. Harappan culture was existing, but we are calling it as Indus Valley civilization because in that culture it has reached to the advanced stage. It has reached to the progressed state. That's why we could able to see a specific drainage pattern, specific storage patterns, or like presence of upper citadel, presence of such kind of things. So we can have a better, Dholavira has meticulous water harvesting systems. Likewise, can you able to recollect that? And cities has proper town planning. In a grid pattern it has been framed. Similar things now we could able to see in only some places. But think at that time they have such kind of features. Okay, so in such a manner we can say that civilization is considered as the progressed or advanced part of the culture. This is what the civilization is in simple manner. So if you want to explain that, we have to use such comparative aspects only. Okay, it's neither we are criticizing anyone nor we are just pointing out at anything. Okay, in layman terms to understand, we have used some examples, right? So likewise, so then in other words, how we can say means civilization is the progressive state of human society, progressive state of human society in line with the advanced levels of culture and standards. Okay, we also had laws in the ancient society. Now we also have laws in the modern society, but modern laws are more effective, modern laws are more standard than the ancient laws. Okay, ancient laws were not scientific, but modern laws were scientifically designed by keeping all human rights or such kind of basic rights into consideration. Are you getting that? So from that point of view, a society having modern laws is considered as civilized than a society who is practicing the ancient laws. Likewise. So in such a manner, we can say that the progressive state of human society. Is that clear? So that is one thing. Then wherever we are giving any definitions in optional subject, we have to use one standard definition given by any particular scholar. For culture, just remember E.B. Taylor's definition forever. It's must, because he was the father of anthropology, father of cultural anthropology, and he carries that legacy. Likewise, and when you write about the definition of civilization, just remember about A.W. Green. He was one scholar. A.W. Green has defined civilization in a systematic manner. According to A.W. Green, like what is civilization means, a culture becomes civilization only when it passes some attributes like the written script, philosophy, technology, metallurgy, and specialized division of labor, specialized division of measure. Okay, so he is trying to say that there should be some advanced aspects of the society. Are you getting that? So that means some attributes like written script. Now you can also differentiate between proto-history, prehistory, and history. The aspect which delineates the proto-history, history, and prehistory is existence of script, isn't it? So if you look at Harappan culture, do we have a script? We have a script, but did we decipher that? No, we haven't deciphered it, but still it has a script. So as it has a script, we have called it as an advanced Indus Valley civilization. Can you able to recollect that? And it also has a basic philosophy for that, and basic technology was there. We can see like beard making or bangle making or such kind of things, shipbuilding, dockyard, all such kind of things were there. That means, can we expect that there was a development of technology? So that's why we were using the word Indus Valley civilization. Can you able to recollect that? So likewise, metallurgy or specialized division of labor and specialized division of labor it should be. So specialized division of labor it should be. So likewise, civilization, when a culture has to be called by civilization, it needs to have some special attributes like these things. That's what the A.W. Green has said. That means advanced form of a society should be there in advanced forms with advanced aspects. So that's how we can define the civilization. Okay, in simple manner, can you able to recollect? Culture is what we are and civilization is what we have. And this was also one of the essay question asked in previous years. In 2 years back, that was the one essay topic in UPSC mains. So when we understand such kind of society and cultural aspects, we can perform better in the essays also, likewise. So that's how it will also fetch, or it will also be useful in writing better essays. Okay, now after understanding what is culture and what is civilization, we have to, yes. It is universal to every species. Still, if we compare other animals, we cannot see that they have achieved their progressive states in their culture. Progressive states in the culture, in the sense, we have developed patterns of living. Animals still do not have. In very basic things, like for example, various cultural aspects like clothing, such kind of things have not yet developed. Still they are with a bare body, likewise. So from that point of view, we cannot say other animals have achieved civilization. Yes?
So then the concept of humans having primitive culture and advanced culture.
Obviously, advanced part of when the society has reached to advanced state, this would be known as civilization. Huh. No, not all animals have culture. We cannot say all animals have culture. It's not yet been deciphered properly. Some animals have culture, and amongst some animals, humans have the advanced form of culture, unique. Yes, that's what. That was primitive form of culture. But if you look, things have not yet been deciphered. That's what I am saying. Though there can be, but things have not yet been deciphered scientifically. Unless things have been deciphered scientifically, we cannot call it as a culture. Things should be in a systematic and scientific manner. That's why. And remember one thing, as I have told you, like we are reading things from anthropocentric view. That means our focus would be from man's perspective. We will compare with the other aspects from man. Though whether it is right or wrong, we are not going into that thing, but still anthropology is mostly based on anthropocentric view, anthropocentric approach. We will compare these aspects in other animals. Okay, if we compare these aspects in other animals, they are not there, so we are calling them that they doesn't have proper culture. Likewise, so that's what, try to just imbibe this concept. We can argue, though we can argue likewise, but still in reality this is the thing which we are going to do in from anthropology.
Even though they say it is primitive concept now, it's a problem with other animals, but they are so deeply primitive concept, they were these traits like man, but only form of the
Yes. That's what we should not compare, in the sense every species is unique, but here we are just keeping man at the center and we have just segregated all other animals under one group. That's why we cannot compare animals, all other animals with the man. We are not saying it is unique only to humans. You have to catch that logic. For example, it's only means it makes the difference. We are not using the an extreme word only. We are using it is unique to humans in the sense that we have advanced form of culture. We have advanced vivid languages, vivid dressing patterns. So from that point of view we are saying. But you can't see these things in other animals. That's what you have to keep in mind. Okay, whether they have language or not, we are not concerned, because our view is not to establish, or that would be the subject matter of biologists. Biologists will worry about that, but we are anthropologists. We are going to study about man, and when we are studying about man, our prime concern will be regarding man likewise. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. When you read about anthropology, it should be your focus that you have to think from man's perspective. Okay, man, compare, and in the sense, in human beings, we will discuss various things. There we can have arguments, because that would be valid arguments from anthropology perspective. If you are discussing from other animals perspective, that would be biological approach of studying animals. And we are just no more concerned with all other organisms or all other animals likewise. Is that clear? So likewise. So then we have to, after understanding what is culture and what is civilization, we have to have a glance of the differences between culture and civilization. Okay, culture, basically if you see, culture is a civilization is a quantitative phenomena, whereas culture is a qualitative phenomena. Quantitative and qualitative. There we have said in civilization that advanced form of culture or progressive state of culture, or we have said that culture, civilization is what we have. For example, don't think in an offensive way, in the sense, take it to understand what are the things which we are using here. A person may have 10 cows and a person might have 2 cows. Same, he also has cows, and a farmer has cows, but a person who has 10 cows is considered more civilized. That means we are using it in a quantitative aspects. We are denoting it in a quantitative aspects. Likewise, qualitative phenomena. Culture is a qualitative phenomena, in the sense, in the progress, as the culture progresses, civilization would be one stage of culture, but after civilization also there can be existence of culture. Okay, so from that point of view, culture would be a qualitative phenomena. It continues, whereas civilization reaches to a peak and there it stops. That means we are trying to say this. That in a graphical representation, if we say, in general parlance I am saying, like a culture may progress like this, where a culture may begin with primitive habits or primitive aspects, and upon time, when it progresses, slowly it may reach to a highest level or advanced levels, and again there can be reverting back to the primitive practices. Okay, this is possible. That means culture culture can pass through the same stages again and again. Okay, how? In the sense, now think of primitive man, even with reference to clothing pattern. In society, man was with bare body in primitive times. He was nude. Now, we can, after attaining to advanced stages, now we have well-established clothing patterns. Now, again, there is an increased tendency or going back to the increased nudity in the society. So, there is a concept called naturism. Naturism. So, it talks about as we have born naked, we have to be naked likewise. So, such kind of concepts are still gaining popularity, and they are just taking into society, creeping into society again. That means where we are heading towards, we are not heading backwards, we are heading towards the naturism, naturality. That means we are passing from different stages, one stage to another stages, but in this stage, we are calling ourselves as advanced. We can take up in any other institutions like marriage. Once marriage, at the time, like if you look in marriage also, same things will continue. So we had earlier, when we take up, we had sexual promiscuity. There was no regulation of sexual behavior of man in this society. But slowly, we have entered from the concept of sexual promiscuity to the practice of group sex, and then to the practice of polygamy, and to the practice of monogamy. So this is half. So now we have reached to the one of the advanced and progressive state in the society, that is monogamy. We have a well-established laws. That's how marriage regulates the sexual behavior of man in such a manner. Okay. Again, there is a reverting tendencies. Man is moving towards polygamy, and there would be a time in the progressed part of the culture, man may also again go back to such natural forms likewise. So in such a form, like culture continues, whereas civilization is a progressed part. Try to just keep this in mind. So that is one thing. So then culture is metric or measurable. Now can you able to understand? As I have told you, like 10 cows, 1 cow. So it's metric, whereas culture is non-metric. We cannot measure it. Whereas civilization we can measure the civilization in quantitative form likewise. Then it is more of materialistic in nature, isn't it? We are saying what we have. That means we were talking about the hut or duplex house. It was materialistic. Whereas culture, it is non-materialistic in nature. Language, can you just is it existing in materialistic form? Building can exist in materialistic form. Whereas language or religion, can you show the religion? Can you show the God? Or can you show the beliefs? No. That means culture, all of them are part and parcel of culture. So they are non-materialistic in nature. So then civilization is a means to end. We have saw culture progresses, culture continues even after the civilization also. Okay? Whereas civilization is a means to end. That means it is a stage in the culture and it's not end itself. Rather, it's an advanced part. There is every possibility that culture may still continue in various other forms. Are you getting that? So culture would be end in itself. That means it is forever. It continues forever. It is an eternal concept. It continues. Okay? Likewise. And then like it's more or less tangible. Tangible means things which we can touch. For example, this podium, we can touch this. Whereas, can you touch your thoughts? Can you touch your beliefs? Can you touch your some things like religion, God? So all these things cannot be touched. So culture or cultural aspects are both intangible as well as tangible. Some aspects, like for example, dressing pattern, it's a pattern of culture, we can touch it. But think of other aspects. Some aspects are intangible. So cultural aspects can be both tangible as well as intangible, whereas civilization aspects are more or less tangible. We can touch them, we can just pursue, we can just feel them, sense them. So finally, civilization describes what we have and culture describes what we are. So that is with reference to basic differences between civilization and culture. So is that clear so far? So that's with respect to the differences between culture and civilization. Okay, so then in next class we will discuss about other concepts, approaches to study these cultures. Like yesterday we have had a view of some things, like can we judge these things, whether whether eating a dog's meat, whether it is right or wrong, or like all other things which we have saw in yesterday's class. We have said like let us judge them. So let us try to understand that in tomorrow's class, that whether it is ethical or unethical or culturally accepted or culturally not accepted to judge other cultures likewise. Okay, let's see that in tomorrow's class. So till then, till here, is there any doubts? Culture is end in itself. So culture is end in itself means culture progresses from one point to another point. Here we are saying that culture is the ultimate thing which we will be focusing. End in itself means during the journey of culture we will get one thing called this civilization. And if our journey is starting from point A to B, that means culture is eternal. That means if provided some factors will continue, culture is eternal, or culture keeps on continuing. It continues. So in this journey of culture, we will attain a progressive state, that is civilization. So in order to achieve this end, we are reaching this point as civilization as means. Are you getting that? So civilization from that point of view, it would be a means to achieve an end, that is called culture. Civilization also progresses with culture. Yes, it may also change, but here you have to keep this root word in your mind. The advanced form or the progressive form, progressive state. You're getting that? This would be the progressed, it touches the highest peak. That point would be called as civilized. Civilization is, though it is dynamic, but if we take from culture's point of view, it would be the progressed form. Don't compare civilization with civilization, compare civilization with culture. You have to compare these two things and not one parameter. Culture, it's progressing. Civilization, it will progress. But in that, when we see the highest form of culture, that is called as civilization. Are you getting that? Culture also will, civilization also will change. That's a different aspect. Likewise, for example, in order to attain the freedom struggle, it was the end. In order to achieve the freedom fighters have used so many means. One such means was non-cooperation movement. One such means was civil disobedience movement. One such means was Quit India movement. Likewise, that means in the journey of attaining freedom for India, there were so many means. So likewise, if we talk about culture as a journey, in that journey there can be so many means, so many stages. So the early stage, advanced stage, or like the later stages. Likewise, here we are saying that if we take culture as a journey, civilization would be one of the means to attain the means of culture. Likewise, so that's how you have to take it. Okay, it is a part and parcel of the journey of culture. That's all. In simple manner we can say, if you are taking it as telling it as a journey, it would be a part and parcel of the journey of culture. Likewise, so means, one stage in culture, that's it. Means one stage. So that would be the simple form how we can just interpret that. So that is with reference to the basic concepts of culture and civilization. Okay, then in tomorrow's class, let's try to understand approaches to study the culture. There are two important approaches: ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. Okay, ethnocentrism and relativism. Whatever the topics which we have picked, like, do you have next class? Okay, okay, so just 1 minute. Like, as we were discussing some of the concepts, like yesterday we saw some things like the practice of human sacrifice just for the sake of getting rain. Is it culturally accepted or not accepted? Means, if we judge this from our cultural practices point of view, it would be unethical. It would be, we will call it as non-cultural, in the sense we will say it is a primitive habit likewise. But if you look from their culture point of view, they will have different meaning. There would be a particular reason why they are practicing likewise. Okay, so there are two approaches, like one would be ethnocentrism and other would be cultural relativism. So here in cultural relativism, we should, it says that we should not relate or we should not compare one culture with other culture, because each and every culture would be unique. We should not relate one cultural aspect of a particular society with the cultural aspect of other society, because every society is unique, every culture is unique, so we have to look at it from its own perspective. That's what cultural relativism says. That means the practice of human sacrifice just for the sake of rain, we have to look that from that perspective. The practice of consumption of beef should be viewed from its own logic and its own rationale. And we should not compare and we should not take from other religious beliefs perspective. Are you getting that? If you are doing that, if you are comparing that, for example, consumption of beef is a primitive practice or it's a barbaric thing, then you are thinking or looking things from ethnocentric point of view. That means you are keeping your society or your culture at the center and you are trying to judge all other cultures. So in anthropology, these are two approaches. One says that you should judging cultures by keeping your culture at the center, and one says like you should not judge cultures by keeping your culture at the center. It is like, for example, each and every student is unique. If I say your handwriting is not good and his handwriting is bad, his handwriting is good, then we are just judging. So will it be good? No. But in the exam, the handwriting or the presentation also been looked. So from that point of view, examiner judges. Who contradicts there? Examiner gives the marks likewise. Are you getting that? Or the dressing pattern. One's dressing pattern might be different and the other's dressing pattern might be different. So that would be different. So we should not judge. That means every person or every student is unique. So we have to look their qualities or their skills from their own point of view. Likewise, in culture also we will have. So let's try to discuss about these concepts. They would be very interesting, and in fact, such concepts makes you more humane. It makes you to have a veil of ignorance. In ethics, you will study about the concept of veil of ignorance, which has been said by John Rawls. John Rawls' veil of ignorance. So these concepts like ethnocentrism and cultural relativism will make you to live with a veil of ignorance. When you become a civil servant, you should not look at the caste, creed, religion. You should not look at the community or ethnicity likewise. So that would be taught or that would be taught through these topics, right? So in such a manner, they are very, very important, and it is very important to understand such concepts, okay? Not only from examination point of view, but as we are human beings, one of the important quality that we have is the humanity. That's what we call. So being humans, we should be humane towards others. Okay, so how we can be humane will be taught by these topics. Okay, let's learn that in tomorrow's class. So that's all for today. So let's meet tomorrow. Thank you all.